Choosing the best game engine for your indie game idea is honestly a lot more terrifying than people like to make it seem. If you're anything like me and you have no idea where to start, well, man, do I have an expert for you. Today we have the AR overview. According to the good old AR overlords, we have three options for beginners: Godot, Unity, and Game Maker. And sure, Unreal Engine's always an option. But what is the best engine for us? Well, for a 2D pixel game, I'm honestly not too sure. Mainly because I haven't worked with any of these engines before. But according to the AR overview, we have a great way to get exposure to these engines, and that is participating in game jams. And lucky for us, I've committed some of my time and energy to a game jam that people know and love, known as the Brackeys Game Jam. So with Brackeys, I entered this with a good old colleague of mine, and we had a very interesting theme. So, as you can see, we didn't win, but the theme was called Strange Places. Wow, I have no idea what to do with this theme. But we did make a game called Darkest Depths. And from here, we'll dive into exactly what went into making a game, how the game turned out, and all of that fun stuff. You know, I mean, what's the worst that can happen with making a game in 1 week? A big part of doing a game jam is to try and challenge yourself. And of course, besides trying to build a game within a week, why not push yourself to the limit? So my friend and I decided to build an entire game using a game engine that we have no idea about, which is called Godot, and of course, go ahead and learn its language, which is known as GDScript. So if you're a developer or made use of Python in the past, it's very similar, very much a English oriented language, allow you to hopefully write more words than actual scary code. And it sounded like a really cool idea at the time. And I mean, I've always wanted to try Godot and actually get experience with it, so why not push the limits within the game jam? Now that we've decided to use Godot, we still need a theme. And I don't know about anybody else doing this game jam, but I have no idea what strange places can be. Like, we try to Google it and get a bunch of ideas, like, is it a strange place in the world? Is it something strange that's happening? And we had a few iterations of different ideas. The first one was to find weird objects within a map. So think about it this way. We have a fridge, right? And within the fridge, you can open it and potentially find yourself a banana, because, I don't know, or like a shoe, because, you know, people leave shoes within fridges, and it's sort of like a, you know, pick your own adventure. You have to click around a level and find a bunch of different items. But we decided to go against this idea because we wanted to challenge ourselves. Then I had a great idea. Let's pretend you are a NPC. And because you're an NPC, that's pretty strange, right? And you need to be able to provide for the needs of the adventurers in your store. So you should be able to sell items and figure it out, and it's strange because you are living as an NPC doing your everyday things while these human players are acting very strange. And they are ruining your shop, from stealing items, from moving things around, and you try to do all of this and try to make a living by the end of the day. But you've guessed it, we changed this halfway through the game jam just because we weren't too sure if it'll be fun. Which settled in our last strange place. It's the ocean. Because everybody knows the ocean is a very weird place, nobody has really explored it, and we can do a lot of cool things with the ocean. Alright, we can get some cool submarines. That's a submarine, in case you guys were wondering. You get some pretty fish, everybody loves fish, and we decided to try and make a game where you play as a submarine that needs to navigate an underground level, go pretty deep, and take photos of all the different sea creatures and objects underneath the water. Wow, what a cool game, right? It's strange because you're deep in the ocean, you can't really see. But how would one go ahead and make this game? Well, there's a few elements into creating a game. We need different UI, and because none of us are actually proper graphics artists, we will need to find somewhere where we can either create our own graphics, find some free sources online which we are allowed to use within the game jam, and of course program everything, right? So let's see how this plays out. At this point, we were already a couple of days in because we've given up on our first idea. And I don't know about you guys, but losing a few days, already being tired, I wasn't feeling very helpful until I found this free asset pack. And honestly, it probably saved us the game jam. Because we got a bunch of cool creatures from jellyfish to like 4 different variants of fish, different colors, everything's animated, different creatures that we can use to eventually attack you, and different objects from seashells, treasure chests, and even grass. But my favorite part about the asset pack itself is that we had 3 different tile sets to play around with. So this allowed us to have different variants the deeper you go, the terrain changes, and boy was this an awesome thing to find. So if you guys ever do want to go ahead and use a specific asset pack as well for anything, I will leave it in the description below and potentially the comment section, but make sure to go ahead and actually download it and play around. It was actually really cool to see. Okay, now that we had the asset pack, we had to figure out exactly what our game would look like. So we got a bunch of fish, we have a bunch of chests. What can we do to make the game fun and actually get that core gameplay loop down? So we started playing around with different ideas, but we went ahead and settled on the submarine being linked to a torch. So if the torch runs out, you'll actually lose the game, as you won't be able to see. If you run into objects, get attacked by fish, your flashlight will deplete, and of course you would lose. But the challenge is you will need to go further down, and the deeper down you go, the more reliant you'll become on your flashlight. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Learn the map, play it around a few times, find all the creatures and take your photos. So this led us into a very interesting direction. While my teammates went ahead and started actually programming some of the mechanics, like the radius for the creatures, making them move and all of that fun stuff, at least we could reuse some of our previous mechanics. Yes, it didn't quite fill in, all the different things we wanted from a character walking in a shop, but at least we can use the same player movement, right? So I went ahead and started messing around with the asset pack, learning how to import it all into Godot, creating tile sets, and of course making the level. And being creative is not one of my strong suits. I just started grabbing shapes and drawing across the grid and hoping it looks something similar to what you would expect in the game. From different caverns to sand and just a bunch of different routes that the player can travel in. So because of the entire game working around taking photos of creatures, chests, and all sorts of different objects like clams, we created various paths that the player can follow, which led us to a unique decision to have multiple of each items, so no matter where you go, you'll be able to find them. And because of this, it sort of allowed the players to sort of go ahead and speed run the game. If you know where the specific items spawn from the different creatures like the swordfish, the clams, and of course all the different cool particles in the background, it really brought our game to life. We even have a giant anglerfish that we were considering doing a boss fight for. We just never got that far. But this sort of turned out to be our game. With that in mind, we also had a cool little tablet that my friend drew with all the different icons. It was just sort of, at this point disabled. If you take a photo, it sort of becomes undisabled and a little bit more clearer. And if you get all 16 items, you win. And you're the best explorer that the world's ever seen. So, enough of the actual use side of it. I would love to actually show the game code off a little bit more. But just because it's been sort of recorded a few months after the game development and I can't really go into the specifics and the struggle, it's probably not worthwhile for you guys, but I will show off the game. So yeah, let's see what we built in a few days. Okay, so this is our game. Darkest Depths. So we have a few things. You can go ahead and actually play the game. You have your options to make it full screen and control your sound. And other than that, just a little section to give credit where it's due. Obviously because we used a lot of free assets. But let's dive into our game. So, starting off, we have this really cool tutorial level that we added the morning of the final day of the game jam. So it's usually to be able to move around, all the different cool assets. If you hit an object, you lose health, you flash, you see a few screws. You can go ahead and enable and disable your logbook, and of course swim around. Ignore the few bugs if some creatures don't swim. The deeper down you go, you can see you must go ahead and actually enable your flashlights, otherwise you won't be able to see nothing. And to start the actual game, all you have to do is take your first photo. And as you can see bottom right, you have your squid activated. And now the actual challenge starts. Now you have to go around actually balancing your battery life with your different flashlights and your creatures as things try to attack you. Not everything deals damage, and try your best to get all 16 items before the game is over. Like I mentioned before, you will lose health if you run into things, get hit, and of course as long as your flashlight is on, your battery will drain. We had a few different items, and you are to indicate this top left. You can see if your light is on and off, and we try to make it as challenging as possible. If your light is not on, you should suffer. Just ignore the upside down jellyfish, we could not figure that one out. But this is our game, Darkest Depths. We will actually leave it in the description below as well if you guys want to go ahead and play it. But I wish I could have spoken a little bit more about the actual developing of the game itself. But to try to go back and reiterate all the mistakes that we made would be very difficult. Let us know if this game is something that you'll be able to play and have fun with. And of course, if you think you could do it slightly differently. If not, better. So let's see what the future holds for our future games and game dev channel. If you enjoyed our first ever submission to a game jam, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let us know down in the comment section what you guys would have done differently. I like to think we did a pretty solid job for, two guys that had to restart halfway through a game jam, just because our first idea was not good enough. But, might just be a bit of a biased opinion. That being said, I'll catch you guys next time.